She said, "It's a break," but I found her buying lingerie for someone else. I stood frozen in the aisle of the department store, staring at the rack of delicate lace and satin. My stomach twisted into knots as I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. Emma, my girlfriend, the woman I thought I was going to build a life with, was standing there, holding up a silky red set, her fingers grazing the fabric like she was admiring it. But it wasn't for me. It couldn't be. My chest tightened as I watched her smile softly at the clerk, a look on her face that I knew well. The one she only ever had when she was happy, when she felt excited about something. But that something wasn't me, and the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. The conversation we'd had a week ago, when she told me we needed to take a break, suddenly didn't seem so innocent anymore. I had been giving her space, respecting her wishes, though every part of me had felt like I was losing her. She said she just needed time to think, that it wasn't about anyone else. But now, as I stood there watching her pick out something that wasn't for me, I could feel the anger bubbling up, mixing with the sick, dizzying feeling in my stomach. I had hoped, prayed, even that maybe things would work themselves out. But what was I supposed to think now? I took a deep breath, forcing my hands to stop shaking, and I walked forward, my footsteps too loud against the polished tile. I didn't know if she'd hear me or not, but I didn't care. I had to know. I had to confront this, whatever this was, and I couldn't wait anymore. I took another step, then another. "Emma," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, though it came out a little too raw. She froze, her back to me, and I saw her shoulders tense up as if she'd already known this moment was coming. Slowly, she turned around. For a brief second, she looked surprised to see me, but then her expression shifted to something more guarded. "Hey," she said softly, almost too softly, like she was trying to play it cool, but I could see the tension in her face. "What are you doing here?" I couldn't believe she was even asking me that. What was I doing here? I wanted to scream at her. "What do you think I'm doing here, Emma?" But I didn't. Instead, I held her gaze, my stomach dropping with every second that passed. "I could ask you the same thing," I said, the words coming out sharp before I could stop them. I glanced at the lingerie in her hands. "Who's this for, Emma? Me? Or someone else?" Her eyes flickered to the set she was holding, then back to me. There was a flicker of guilt, or maybe it was just panic. She quickly dropped the lingerie back onto the rack, like she was trying to hide it, but the damage had already been done. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice more nervous than I'd ever heard it. "I was just browsing. I wasn't buying it for anyone. Really." My voice was starting to shake now, and I hated how weak I sounded, because it sure as hell looked like you were picking out something for someone else. "Are you seeing someone else, Emma, while we're on this break?" She hesitated. God, it felt like an eternity before she said anything, and when she did, her words barely came out. "No, I'm not. I'm not seeing anyone else. She trailed off, biting her lip as if she was weighing her next words carefully. "I'm just trying to figure things out, okay? This break, this whole situation, it's not easy for me either. I don't know what I want right now." Her words hung in the air between us, and for a second, I felt like I was suffocating. Not easy for me either? What the hell did that even mean? She was out here shopping for lingerie while I was sitting at home, feeling like my world was crumbling. What does that even mean, Emma? Figuring things out? You think I'm just sitting here waiting for you to make up your mind? This isn't fair. My voice cracked as I said the last part. I cursed myself for sounding so pathetic. I wanted to be strong, to be angry, but there was a part of me that just felt lost. Her face softened, but there was a sadness in her eyes that made my heart ache, even as my blood boiled. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I thought I needed space, I thought I needed to take a step back, but I didn't realize how much I was hurting you in the process. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away before she could touch me. "Hurting me?" I laughed bitterly. "You've been sleeping with someone else, and you're telling me you're hurting me? What about me, Emma? What about us?" She flinched like I'd slapped her, and I instantly regretted my words, even though I knew they were the truth. But I was too far gone now. The anger was already there, raging in my chest, and I couldn't turn it off. "I don't know how we got here," she whispered, her voice so small, like she was trying to shrink into herself. I never meant for you to find out like this. But I need you to understand, I'm not seeing someone else. I'm just confused. I need space, time to figure out what I want. I need to know if we can work, if this relationship is really what I want. I don't know what I'm doing. I just don't know. I wanted to believe her. I really did. The part of me that had loved her so much, the part of me that had trusted her with everything, wanted to believe she was telling the truth. But I couldn't shake the feeling that this was something more. That maybe, after everything, she had already made her choice. I stood there for a long time, just looking at her, my thoughts spinning in 1,000 directions. I wanted to yell, to demand answers, to tear into her for everything she'd done. But I also didn't know how to let go. I didn't know how to walk away from the woman I thought was my future. And that's when I realized something else. No matter what happened here, I couldn't just keep waiting for her to figure it out. I couldn't keep living in limbo, wondering if I was just a backup plan or if I was the one she truly wanted. I need to go, I said finally, my voice thick with emotion. I can't do this. I can't keep waiting around while you figure out what you want. I turned to leave, but then I heard her voice, small and almost desperate. Please don't go. Not like this. Can we just talk about it? Please. But I couldn't. I couldn't stay there, looking at her and pretending like everything was fine when all I felt was betrayed. I walked away without looking back, my chest tight with the weight of it all. Part 2. I don't even remember how I got home. My head was spinning, my thoughts in 1,000 different directions, trying to piece together everything I had just learned, everything she had said. The moment I stepped through the door, I almost collapsed on the couch, the weight of the conversation pressing down on me. I just sat there, staring at the blank TV screen, my hands numb by my sides. My stomach was in knots, and my mind raced with questions, doubts, and that gnawing sense of betrayal I couldn't shake. How had we gotten here? We'd been together for over 2 years. 2 years, and now I was sitting alone in my living room, trying to figure out what the hell had just happened. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, checking for any messages from her. There was nothing, not even a sorry for earlier, or let's talk when you're ready. I didn't know what I expected, but the silence was deafening. I wanted to call her, to yell at her, to demand more answers. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. I didn't know if I even wanted the answers anymore. What was the point? The lingerie, the break, the fact that she couldn't even tell me the truth, it all pointed to one thing. She was done. She was already thinking about someone else. And I had been too blind to see it. The truth, as painful as it was, began to settle in. She wasn't coming back. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours, probably. I could feel my body going numb, like I was on autopilot, just existing in a fog of hurt and confusion. But even through all that, a part of me kept thinking back to one thing, the lingerie. It was so personal, so intimate. The thought that she was out there, picking out that kind of thing for someone else, made my chest ache. I had seen that look on her face before, the excitement, the happiness in her eyes when she thought she had found something special. And that special thing wasn't for me. It was for someone else. I tried to shake it off. I tried to focus on something, anything other than the image of her standing there, holding up that lingerie, like it was for a future she didn't want with me. I grabbed a beer from the fridge, cracked it open, and took a long swig, letting the cold liquid burn down my throat. It didn't help. Nothing would. The worst part wasn't even that she had chosen someone else. It was the lies. The way she had played this whole thing off like it was nothing, like I was just supposed to accept it. A break. As if that was some kind of explanation. She hadn't wanted to give up on us, but she hadn't wanted to be honest with me either. She had been stringing me along while making plans with someone else. That was the part one couldn't get past. And then the next part hit me. What if it wasn't just lingerie? What if there were more lies, more secrets I hadn't uncovered yet? The idea of her being with someone else, of her sharing herself with someone else, emotionally, physically, all of it, it made my stomach turn. I didn't even know where to start. Did I go through her things? Dig deeper into her social media? Should I just let it go and move on? I paced around the apartment, my mind a mess. There were so many conflicting thoughts. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to call her and beg her to come back. Please just come home. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't beg her. She had already made her choice. She just hadn't told me to my face yet. I can't do this anymore. The thought hit me like a sudden jolt, and it was the clearest thing I'd felt all day. I didn't need more answers. I didn't need the closure I had been hoping for. I needed to take control of this, to move on for my own sake. I couldn't let her continue to mess with my head. She wasn't the person I thought she was. That wasn't something I could just ignore. The trust was broken. I grabbed my phone again, this time with a purpose. I scrolled through my contacts and found her name. I stared at it for a few seconds, feeling the weight of the decision, but then I pressed delete without hesitation. It felt freeing in a strange way, but also terrifying. I had just made the first real step toward letting go, but still hurt. I sank back onto the couch, feeling the emptiness of the moment. I couldn't believe it had come to this. I wanted to be angry, but I felt drained, emotionally spent. There was no more fight left in me, no more energy to keep chasing someone who didn't want me. And yet, as much as I knew I needed to move on, part of me still felt that ache. Part of me still wanted to hold on to what we had, to believe that maybe it was just a phase, that we could work through it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that we were just a memory now. I couldn't keep living in the past, pretending like everything would magically go back to normal. I thought about the future, and honestly, the thought of it without her was overwhelming. But at the same time, the idea of staying stuck in this toxic cycle was even worse. I didn't want to be with someone who couldn't even be honest with me, who couldn't even give me a straight answer. Maybe it was time to start fresh. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, picking out lingerie, smiling at the thought of someone else, walking away from me. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest like it was trying to escape. I hated the feeling, but I knew it was the only way I was going to heal. It wasn't going to be easy, and it sure as hell wasn't going to be quick, but I had to let go. For me. The next morning, I woke up groggy, but at least I had a little more clarity. I was done. I was done with the lies. Done with the confusion. I had to move on for my own peace of mind. But part of me still wondered, had she really moved on? Or was she just using the break to ease into something new, something better? I didn't know. And honestly, I didn't want to know. What I didn't know was that I couldn't keep looking for answers in the wrong places. I was done. And maybe, just maybe, that was the hardest part.